Happy holidays, everybody, and Tony here with a tribute to a series of animated Nickelodeon Christmas commercials that made me laugh and smile with glee ever since I was a 10-year-old boy, and they still managed to accomplish that to this very day. I'm talking about the Merry Nickmas shorts, which aired on Nickelodeon on December 4, 2002. I remember catching these commercials when I was 10 years old, and I remember being thoroughly entertained by them, thus making me roll on the floor with laughter, glee, and with a huge grin on my face every time they appeared on television. These commercials meant so much to me because it was not just SpongeBob who managed to make this commercial great. And of course, it wasn't just SpongeBob alone who made Nickelodeon as a whole the network that a lot of us still know and love to this day, and even loved back then when we were kids. But it was also the likes of characters from the Fairly Odd Parents, as told by Ginger, Rugrats, the Wild Thornberrys, Hey Arnold, and Rocket Power, who also shared the screen, especially when it came to the stop-motion, claymation, animated segments, which were also affectionate parodies of the Rankin Bass films. The staying power that all 7 of these Christmas commercials had on me was very potent, to the point where I go back to these said commercials with a lot of fondness and just a lot of smiles that managed to keep me uplifted even as I'm speaking to all of you as a grown-up. These commercials were animated in 2 styles, well technically 3 because one of them is CGI, but the ones that definitely left a very strong impression on me were the Flash animated commercials and the claymation stop motion animated commercials. Going to the Flash motion ones, we have the Nutcracker Suite performed by Cosmo, Wanda, and Jorgen. Now this is a very cute commercial because this was a nice little wordplay on the words nut, cracker, and the expression sweet, as in you have a literal walnut and a literal cracker, and the expression sweet, which means that something is totally awesome or cool or absolutely fabulous, with Cosmo and Wanda singing Crunch all the way through, and Jorgen joining in the ballet parody revelry, with Cosmo and Wanda getting bows for their performance. Plankton's holiday hits was also quite the riot, since Plankton, being the hammy cartoon villain that he is, has his own spin on the classic Christmas carols O Come All Ye Faithful, Joy to the World, Deck the Halls, and even the march from the Nutcracker Suite. And in these interpretations, he uses negatively connotated expressions just to ham it all up. For example, O Come All Ye Faithful is turned into O Come All Ye Fearful. And in this spin, he wants to crush everyone, and instead of Joy to the World, Plankton sings I'll Rule the World, which I thought was just really hilarious coming from this really hammy Plankton. And it's also thanks to Doug Lawrence, who managed to bring in a lot of hamminess and a lot of that over-the-top cartoon villainy that made Plankton all the more memorable. How the you-know-who stole you-know-what was a parody of how the Grinch stole Christmas, and you could not have asked a better Nicktoon character to embody the Grinch than Angelica Pickles. Sure, in this version, Angelica is a whole lot more unlikable than the original Grinch, especially when she steals all the Nicktoons' chocolate and even gives Plankton a kick up the bum and back to bed. And interestingly enough, Plankton is the Nicktoon version of Cindy Lou Who, but without her childlike charm. And the ending subverses this Grinch parody all over its head, as instead of Angelica having a change of heart, she just does not care as she gorges on all the chocolate and ends up as she is, one huge pig. Sure, in spite of its mean-spiritedness, it managed to take advantage of that and have fun with it, which was one thing I enjoyed about how the you-know-who stole you-know-what from the Flash animated specials was a Chucky Finster Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Winter Solstice, in which this is a beat-by-beat yet shortened parody of A Charlie Brown Christmas. And the Rugrats babies certainly fit the Peanuts character's shoes very well, especially Chucky as Charlie Brown, considering that he not only shares the same Christian name as Charlie Brown, but he totally acts like him, that it is quite uncanny. From the bad luck they're constantly faced with to just how they are as characters. You could not ask for any other Nicktoon character to embody Charlie Brown, and Chucky Finster certainly filled good old Chuck's shoes really well. And Tommy also had a really nice moment portraying the Linus of this Christmas special, considering his speech, which was very reminiscent of Linus quoting the Bible. And Angelica steals the show once again, being the Rugrats version of Lucy Van Pelt, but a little bit more sadistic and much louder than Lucy could ever be. This special also ended in such a sweet and very affectionate way. That is until the sponsor, which is Dorky Peppermint Patties, which is a parody of the Yorkie chocolate bars, with Mr. Krabs sponsoring this particular chocolate treat. We have the only CGI Christmas special in the form of Patrick the Snowman, and even though the CGI of this one hasn't really aged too well, at least it was compensated by the very fun story it had. This is also considering that this was a parody of Frosty the Snowman. What with the kids in the forms of Jimmy, Carl, Sheen, Cindy, and Libby forming the snowman, and Nigel Thornberry being the narrator, and even the hat being put into play as Jimmy inserts that said hat onto Patrick and he comes alive as he spouts out "Birthday Happy." And interestingly enough, Bill Fagerbakke, who was also the voice of Patrick Star, voiced Frosty the Snowman in the 2005 animated atrocity known as The Legend of Frosty the Snowman. The less I could say about it, the better. But nevertheless, Bill Fagerbakke as Patrick Star, or shall I say Patrick the Snowman, was still quite lovable and fun in his own way. And of course we even have the main Jimmy Neutron characters also bantering alongside Patrick the Snowman, which was all the more fun. Then we get two of my most favorite stop motion animated commercials in the forms of Holiday Party and the 12 Days of Nickmas. Holiday Party is an affectionate parody of the classic Rankin Bass stop motion films such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman. And what was so great about this commercial was having Rosie O'Donnell voicing Rosie the Snow Lady. And she was essentially playing herself but in Snow Lady form, which was the very attribute that still managed to remain ingrained in my mind for many years. And I still look back at this commercial with a lot of fond memories, considering how much it left me laughing on the floor, as well as those very cute moments with all the Nicktoon characters interacting with each other and just having a ball. In fact, that was what this particular commercial felt like to me. I was having a ball from beginning to end, all thanks to the Rosie O'Donnell Snow Lady commenting on what has been occurring in the Nicktoon Christmas party, as well as that very fun ending. And 12 Days of Nickmas was an affectionate parody of the 12 Days of Christmas. From the 12 blowing bubbles of SpongeBob to Patrick being the starfish on top of the Christmas tree. This was definitely the commercial that made me fill to the brim with laughs, smiles, and so much fun seeing all these Nicktoon characters sing their own spin on the 12 Days of Christmas. And even more fun was seeing Courtney sing about her 5 incredibly expensive golden rings, and of course Vicky being akin to the Wicked Witch of the East by having a portrait of Butch Hartman following her and having her feet shrivel, which was just so fun and satisfying to watch. Even though I love all 7 of these Nickmas commercials, there were only 3 that managed to make it to the top. Garnering the bronze medal was 12 Days of Nickmas. I totally enjoyed this wonderful parody of the 12 Days of Christmas, considering that you had every Nicktoon from Rocket Power to As Told by Ginger, to SpongeBob, to Jimmy Neutron, to Hey Arnold, to the Wild Thornberrys sing this particular version of the 12 Days of Christmas. Each and every item that they've mentioned was very memorable, and they also managed to bring a huge smile on my face every time they all opened their mouths to sing this parody of the 12 Days of Christmas. Garnering the silver medal was Holiday Party, and it is mainly attributed to one character, and of course her voice actress, the Rosie O'Donnell Snow Lady, voiced by Rosie O'Donnell herself. Considering that she was playing herself in Snow Lady form, that just makes this commercial a whole lot more fun. What's even more fun was seeing all our favorite Nicktoons having a banter with each other and having a lot of hilarious moments where they've worked off of each other, especially with the Crimson Chin flirting with Debbie, and Plankton about to kiss Helga, and having all the Nicktoons greet us, the audience, a very happy insert your holiday title here, which also left me on the floor smiling and laughing. And let's also not forget that this short was an affectionate parody of all the Rankin Bass films that have aired during Christmas. So if you're a Rankin Bass fan, and if you're a Nicktoons fan, you can definitely bet your bottom dollar that Holiday Party manages to make the best of both worlds meet. However, my most favorite Nickmas short, which in turn has received the gold medal for being my absolute favorite, is none other than a Chucky Finster Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Winter Solstice. This affectionate parody of a Charlie Brown Christmas has managed to be fully ingrained in not only my mind, but also my heart, for being both touching and hilarious. The Rugrats characters fit their respective Peanuts characters so well, to the point where I was really having a huge grin on my face. And this also helps because I have also grown up with the likes of Snoopy and the Peanuts gang. So seeing all these Rugrats characters portray the Peanuts kids, especially when you have Angelica being the Lucy Van Pelt, Chucky Finster being the Charlie Brown, and Tommy being the Linus Van Pelt of the Rugrats universe, makes it all the more credible. And this also makes me enjoy this particular commercial a whole lot more. And this was also a very well done parody of a Charlie Brown Christmas. There was not one moment where I felt bored, and everything had a clear beginning, middle, and end, which was why I enjoyed a Chucky Finster Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Winter Solstice, and why I put this commercial as my number 1 most favorite of all time. I'm sure that a lot of you have your own personal favorites, so please do not hesitate and comment below what are your favorites out of the Nickmas commercials. I would love to hear them. Well, that's it for my tribute to the Merry Nickmas commercials. Tune in much later for my review of 12 Tiny Christmas Tales. So until then, happy holidays, everybody!